So good morning. Welcome to Small Farm Living. If we haven't met before, my name is Julie, and today we are doing week 2 on what's growing in my garden. I have some seedlings behind me. If you can see them right here, I pulled them out of the greenhouse so that they could harden off, and they are good to go. We have some cool crops. We are going to be planting some kohlrabi, some broccoli, and some cauliflower. I do have a bunch of sweet pea starts that I'll show you. I'm trying to figure out just where I want to plant those, and then we'll take a peek at phase 1 that we showed last week where I was working on the weed mat. Again, there's a whole separate video on that I'm almost completed with, and I will try and link that below or put up the playlist that belongs to if you'd like to take a look at that. But here we have the kohlrabi, I have some broccoli, and the cauliflower. Excuse me. I don't tend to plant a whole lot of this in the spring because the hot weather comes and sometimes it bolts before I actually get to harvest any. So I focus more on that in the fall, but we're going to do a little bit. These are sunflowers. I am going to be planting those in a different field, but I'm going to let them get a little bit bigger first. Here are my straw flowers that are ready to go in the field. Here are my sweet peas. I am going to be giving them a little bit of a haircut so that they bush out more and form a nice little mat of sweet peas. And then I have statice. I have some, it's called black adder, and it is such a deep color that it almost looks black. So I thought that would be kind of fun in the bouquets. And then up here I have some more straw flower, and then I have some sweet william. So those things are going to be getting planted in different flower beds in different videos, but I just kind of wanted to show you what I have outside hardening off, so you can look forward to seeing those. Oh, and who could forget, here on the other side, which I almost did forget, are my snapdragons. And some of these have had trim on the top, and again, that's to get them to bush out at the base, and they actually put on multiple long stems for using in bouquets when you do that. I do have some more lemon verbena right there. And then over here, I have some ageratum. I have some gomphrena. These are some sunflowers that I did a different seed starting mix test with, and I'm just leaving them in the pots, and you can see it already has a head on it. So you can see how long the stems are on these just by being in the pot. So I just figured I'm not ready to put them out in the field just yet, and they'll be pretty in bouquets. And this right here is valerian. It is a medicinal plant, but let's go get the kohlrabi, the broccoli, and the cauliflower planted in the garden. Alright, so this is the gate to the entrance of my garden. I don't think I've ever come down here with you before when it's been closed, but several years ago I planted this cute little sign that says veggies. I'm going to take it down and give it a little fresh coat of paint because the sun has nicely faded it out. And my girls were just staring at me a second ago. Several of them are in the coop, but it's starting to get a little warm for them. They're kind of pansies when it comes to the sun. Most of them just come hide in the shade. Okay, I decided I'm going to plant my kohlrabi and my broccoli and my cauliflower in with the English peas or the Wando peas that I planted because they're both a cool season, and by the time they're done I should be able to pull these out and put something else in there. So once we get these all planted, then I'm going to take you back on a tour around the garden. And these beds have been amended with an organic granular fertilizer, and I did that about 2 months ago so that it had time to get worked in a little bit with the worms and the rain. So I don't really need to amend anything while I'm planting, but I will throughout the season continue to give them a little bit of a fertilizer just to give them a boost. Okay, so here on this bed with the English peas, I'm going to be doing my kohlrabi, and I'm just going to kind of break up a little bit. And as you can see, the kohlrabi starts, they are really tiny, but that's okay. I want to get them out here before they get too big so that they get established right where they need to grow. And I'm just giving the pots a little pinch. Kind of take my fingers in a V like this to get around the plant. give it a little tap so that when it comes out, I have it in my hand, nice and secure. And I'll just tuck them in there. Okay, this has been kind of hard to film the broccoli because we have a sloped piece of property and my tripod does not want to stand up. It just wants to fall over. So I just kind of have it laying down here at the base. So I can just kind of show you. I'm just putting it in here. And then I'm just scooping the dirt around, getting him so he's standing a little more upright. We will come through here with some Sluggo to prevent slugs or snails from chewing on them. And then I'll show you how I protect them from the cabbage moth. Okay, first I'm just going to give them a little watering in. And we are having the most gorgeous spring. I mean, this is the second going on third week of really nice weather that we've had. And we have about 3 days coming up that are going to be overcast but not raining and still nice. And so I think that's when I will start planting some of my cool flowers down in phase 1 into that black weed mat, because let me tell you, when you try and work on that black weed mat when the sun is out, it is hot. So we'll just finish getting these watered and then we will get them covered. Okay, so we will start the tour for week 2. This is the Little Pixie Crunch apple tree. It is just beautiful. I love how apple trees have that little bit of pink in their blooms. But I don't know if you can see the little mason bees, and I haven't seen a bumblebee yet today, but there's some honeybees. They're just going crazy pollinating this thing. So hopefully we'll have lots of Little Pixie Crunch apples. And then over here, this is the pear tree. The blooms are gone this week, but I know several of these will probably fall off. But this tree this year is loaded, and I mean loaded, with pear starts. Last year it took a break. It only produced, I don't know, like maybe 6 pears total for the whole tree. I don't know if you can see that over there. It is just insanely loaded. So we'll see what kind of crop we get this year. So the garlic, I believe the tops are about as tall as they're going to get at this point, and all the magic is happening underground, so we won't see a whole lot with that. This bed, we're still going to be waiting until some of the warm weather crops can get in there. The sugar snap peas, they are getting taller. They're starting to cling onto the trellis. Can't wait to eat those. That's one of my favorite things to do when I come out in the morning, is just to grab a couple of sugar snap peas and eat them. These are the Wando peas. They're kind of acting stunted, I think because they're getting picked on by those birds so much. But here is the kohlrabi that we planted earlier. The raspberries, holy cow. I need to get them trellised back up. I took the trellising out of it because it was falling apart. And yeah, now they're laying over. But check this out. The forming of raspberries going on right there. And again, these are the golden raspberries. And if you haven't watched the video on my pruning, I kind of talk a little bit about them and how they're ever-bearing and the crops that I get out of them. So there is one red raspberry in here, and I believe it's this one right here. You can see it's just got these little tiny buds on it that are starting to form. So that'll be fun. The blueberries, the blooms on this one are kind of dwindling down, turning into blueberries. The lilies that I have in here are getting huge. This one, this blueberry, it still has a lot of blooms on it. And so does this blueberry. But the potatoes, they are starting to really come up and bush out, and I have a whole bunch more little shoots popping up out of the ground from last week. Just kind of give you a quick overview. All the potatoes here continuing to grow. And again, we have whitish yellow Kennebecs. We have some red Pontiacs, and then we have some purple potatoes. And then over here, it's kind of hard to see this time of the day, but the carrots, they are starting to come up. The darn 2 days after I planted these carrot strips in here, we had the most torrential rain, and I have been afraid that it maybe beat them down too far, but I can kind of see some solid rows now coming up. So like if you go all along here, you can kind of see the solid row with the spacing that I did with my tape. Over there are the herbs. They're just continuing to bush out and do awesome. These little tubs that have the gooseberries and the potatoes. This is the first year that I've ever grown gooseberry. I don't know how many years it takes before they actually give you berries, but I haven't seen any blooms on them, so I'll have to look that up. But that's going to be fun when those produce. Coming through the middle row, my onions, they are not very happy. I'm going to give them a shot of some probably fish fertilizer, and hopefully they just need to work on their tops growing there. They're looking really sad. But this is the other side of the English peas. They're still looking kind of pathetic from the bird picking. The anemones, they're kind of tapering off. This right here, down inside here, this is an Iceland poppy, and I have a few other starts in there. And then if you look down here, I missed a potato. I grew some in here last year. I have some volunteers coming up, and I think I had the Kennebec in this bed last year. So all of the beautiful anemones, the purple. I love the color purple, and not necessarily clothing per se, but just in flowers. I'm always drawn to purple when I go look at flowers at nurseries and things. 2 cabbage plants. I will probably pull one or both of them out tomorrow, feed them to the chickens. The parsley. I just did a video on collecting, dehydrating, and storing herbs, and so you'll see I did a whack back on some of my parsley, but it's already bushing back out. Probably in another week you won't be able to tell. And my broccoli, I never got these pulled out and given to the chickens, but I'm just leaving them at this point until the blooms are done, because the bees are just going crazy, and the bright yellow really helps attract them in here to help with the pollination of my apple tree. Over there, same thing with that garlic. And here is the oregano. It's getting taller and taller and bushier. I whacked some out of here for that herb video. My chickens think they're getting a snack. And the strawberry beds, they are really starting to put on a lot of blooms. Last week I had to search for blooms, and I actually went to the second bed to find one, and this week there are blooms all over in this bed. And all over in this bed. This one plant looks like it's going to be loaded, so that will be fun. And this bed is where we just planted the cauliflower, so you can see the little tiny plants there. I still have to get them covered. Another batch of English peas. This bed with another batch of English peas. I don't even know if these are going to make it. The birds are just chewing the crap out of them, so I don't know. I guess we'll see. And this is the broccoli that we just planted, and I again need to get that covered. And this last bed over here does not have anything in it yet as far as a vegetable. That'll be probably a warm season crop. This little plant right here that's hanging out at the end is a bee's friend. It's a purple plant. They're really cute, and I grew a couple in this pot last year, and it's seeded, and now I have volunteers everywhere. So that's it for the garden, and I will just show you the second growing field. Okay, so I have these old pots. They were actually buckets, but they're pretty flexible, and they were broken on the bottom, so I just cut them out. And what I like to do is just kind of make a circle of where it needs to go, and then I'll make a trough all the way around it. And I'll work this down in there. And then I will put a hoop in here. And as they get bigger, I do have to get different hoops on here, but then I'll just slide this down over the top It has a drawstring on it. And then I will just cinch this around the base here. Lost my drawstring. All cinched. And it's a big netting for like a fruit tree, so it has plenty of room for when the plant gets bigger. And that's how I protect him from the cabbage moth. So in addition to those little cut-off pots that I have, I also just kind of rigged up some rebar with some zip ties and a metal hoop over the top, and that just kind of gives it room as it grows. But I just secure these around, and at the bottom I do have to kind of secure them with some rocks or a couple of bricks or something, because we tend to get a lot of coastal winds in the evening here, and it really whips these things around. But so far this has worked really well. The only thing I have to keep up with is the Sluggo to keep the slugs from eating them. And here we are down in what I call phase 1, the first growing field. And from last week you can see I finally have all of the plastic laid back down, and I do have a complete video that I'm just about done editing, and it will be out on the whole process of how we put this field together. So be watching for that. And I'm working on putting the weed mat down on the walkway. And then over here, this is my other growing field that has perennials in it right now. And I just have to do a little bit more work on this. I had the field going all the way to the barn, but we live on the downslope of a hill, and that is the wettest part of the property, and so I lost a lot of plants just to root rot down there. So over here, this big section, we're going to put corn over here, and then as well the very first section over here will be some corn. I'm going to do this section up here first, because these big trees that you see right here, when fall kind of starts setting in, the sun shades this first part of the bed, whereas this other one down here is still sunny. So if I start up here, this corn has more of a chance to develop, and this down here will be able to continue to grow with the sun. I'll show you the two dogs. They're actually one of my daughter's dogs, and I'm dog sitting while she's at college today. But before we do that, I just wanted to ask if you are appreciating this kind of content, if you would do me a tremendous favor and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying really hard to grow it. I would be so honored. So now I will show you the two dogs. So this is grand dog number 1. They're having a little chew for their lunch snack here, but she's a Pitty Aussie mix. She's a sassy little thing, aren't you? But she's a big, huge snuggle bug, so we love her despite her sassiness. And now I will show you the second one. And this is Rudy. I'm not going to get super close to him, only because he thinks it's a game, like I'm going to come take his chew, and he gets up and runs and sits in a different spot with it. But he is a hound, and I am going to be honest with you, I don't like hounds super well, and it's only because he hollers all the time, and I know that's just what he's bred to do. But he is a complete sweetheart too. He's really a good boy. He just yells a lot. So those are the two dogs currently that we have on our property. We had a lab, and she got old. She went to the great beyond, and it's been sad, but that's just life with pets. Okay, that concludes week 2 of What's Growing in the Garden. I appreciate you hanging out with me today. If you're not subscribed, please consider, so that you don't miss all the future episodes of What's Growing in the Garden, along with other fun videos that I have coming out. But again, thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.